Hey, Joe, what do you believe we are?
I believe in psychological materialism. We are our mental states and persist as long as person X has the same mental state as person Y.
That's dumb, Joe. You know that belief is not true.
You haven't even listened to my reason.
I don't care, and I bet it doesn't even make logical sense.
Consider the Prince Cobbler case. On Monday, there is a prince who has his memories and is looking forward to a party later in the week, and a cobbler who has his cobbling memories and is looking forward to cobbling shoes. Then on Tuesday, the prince wakes up with cobbling memories and is looking forward to cobbling shoes, and the cobbler wakes up with the prince's memories and is looking forward to a party later in the week. Who is who? The common answer, and the one that makes the most sense to me, is that the prince is in the cobbler's body and the cobbler is in the prince's body. The conclusion from this answer is that our mental states define who we are, which supports psychological materialism.
No, psychological materialism is wrong.
Donald, you can't just disagree with the conclusion. That is a logical mistake.
Joe, you dumbo, this argument has so many flaws. Consider the duplication problem. There exists a teleporter that can move your body and your mental states from one place to another. Imagine a situation where normally the teleporter will deconstruct your body and then construct it in another place while maintaining your psychological continuity. How could we explain a situation where the teleporter malfunctions and your body is constructed again in the same place where you just teleported only a few minutes after your body was reconstructed the first time? In this situation, there now exists two identical bodies with psychological continuity to yourself. As both are psychologically continuous, psychological materialism would argue that they are both you, which doesn't make logical sense.
Gosh darn it, I don't know how to argue against that.
That's because you're dumb, Joe, and psychological materialism sucks.
Don't worry, Joe. I'll take it from here. I know a good counter-argument for the duplication problem.
You can't do that, Neil.
I don't care. Stay mad. One possible solution to the problem is fourth-dimensional psychological materialism. This argues that we are space-time worms that are temporally extended throughout space-time. Space worms can be explained as though we are continuous worms that have temporal parts that exist throughout space-time. Space-time is the belief that the future and past are just as real as our perceived present. If you were to look at one of these temporal parts, you would be able to observe a specific time of the worm's existence. An example of space-time worms could be a tree that goes from seed to a sapling to a great oak to decay, then to death. Each of these moments of the existence of the tree is one of the worm's temporal parts, with the life cycle of the tree over its lifespan being the actual space-time worm. Furthermore, psychological materialism argues that we persist over time in the case that X and Y are temporal parts of the same space-time worm. Fourth-dimensional psychological materialism solves the duplication problem by arguing that those people who are created always existed and were contained in the same body. They can only be noticed as different once they separate and begin to have different mental states and are no longer psychologically continuous with each other. Then and only then can we perceive the individuals as different space-time worms.
I don't understand.
For frick's sake, you guys need to take some philosophy classes.